who was king. Once upon a time, began Outa Karel, and his audience of 3 looked up expectantly. Once upon a time, Umlo roared and the forest shook with the dreadful sound. Then, from far away over the vlakt, floated another roar, and the little lion cubs jumped about and stood on their heads, tumbling over each other in their merriment. Here, they said, it is Volstruus, old 3 sticks. He tries to imitate the king, our father. He roars well. Truly there is no difference. When Lo heard this he was very angry, so he roared again, louder than ever. Again came back the sound over the veld, as if it had been an echo. No. This will never do, thought Lo. I must put a stop to this impudence. I alone am king here, and imitators, I want none. So he went forth and roamed over the vlak till he met old 3 sticks, the ostrich. They stood glaring at each other. Lo's eyes flamed, his mane rose in a huge mass and he lashed his tail angrily. Volstruus spread out his beautiful wings and swayed from side to side, his beak open and his neck twisting like a whip snake. It was pretty, but if Bashes could have seen his eyes. Bashes know, Volstruus's eyes are very soft and beautiful, like Nonnie's when she tells the Bible stories, but now there was only fierceness in them, and yellow lights that looked like fire. But there was no fight, yet. It was only their way of meeting. Lo came a step nearer and said, we must see who is boss. You, Volstruus, please to roar a little. So Volstruus roared, blowing out his throat, so, hoo-hoo-hoa-ah-ah-ah. It was a fearsome sound, the sort of sound that makes you feel streams of cold water running down your back when you hear it suddenly and don't know what it is. Yes, Bashes, if you are in bed you curl up and pull the blankets over your head, and if you are outside you run in and get close to the Nui or Nonnie. A slight movement, indicative of contradiction, passed from one to another of his small hearers, but, unless it was a free and easy, conversational evening, they made it a point of honor never to interrupt Outa in full career. This, like other things, could await the finish of the story. Then Lo roared, and truly the voices were the same. No one could say, this is a bigger voice, or that is a more terrifying voice. No, they were just equal. So Lo said to Volstruus, our voices are alike. You are my equal in roaring. Let it then be so. You will be king of the birds as I am king of the beasts. Now let us go hunting and see who is boss there. Out in the vlak some sasabi were feeding, big fat ones, a nice clumpy, so Lo started off in one direction and Volstruus in the other, but both kept away from the side the wind came from. Wild bucks can smell, talk. So good. Just one little puff when a hunter is creeping up to them, and at once all the heads are in the air, sniff, 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 and they are off like the wind. Dust is all you see, and when that has blown away, no. There are no bucks, the whole veld is empty, empty. Outa stretched out his arms and waved them from side to side with an exaggerated expression of finding nothing but empty space, his voice mournful with a sense of irreparable loss. But he took up his tail with renewed energy. Lo and Volstruus were old hunters. They knew how to get nearer and nearer without letting the bucks know. Lo trailed himself along slowly, slowly, close to the ground, and only when he was moving could you see which was Lo and which was sand. The color was just the same. He picked out a big buck, well grown and fat, but not too old to be juicy, and when he got near enough he hunched himself up very quietly, so, my little masters, just so, ready to spring, and then before you could whistle, he shot through the air like a stone from a catapult, and fell, fair and square, onto the sasabi's back, his great tearing claws fastened on its shoulders and his wicked teeth meeting in the poor thing's neck. ACH. The beautiful big buck. Never again would his pointed horns tear open his enemies. Never again would he lead the herd, or pronk in the veld in mating time. Never again would his soft nostrils scent danger in the distance, nor his quick hoofs give the signal for the stampede. No, it was really all up with him this time. When Umluk gets hold of a thing, he doesn't let go till it is dead. The rest of the herd, ACH, but they ran. Soon they were far away, only specks in the distance, all except those that Volstruus had killed. Truly Volstruus was clever. Bashes know, he can run fast, faster even than the Sasabi. So when he saw Luke getting ready to spring, he raced upwind as hard as he could, knowing that was what the herd would do. So there he was waiting for them, and didn't he play with them? See, Bashes, he stood just so, in his excitement Outa rose and struck an attitude, and when they streaked past him he jumped like this, striking at them with the hard, sharp claws on his old 2 toes. Outa hopped about like a fighting bantam, while the children hugged themselves in silent delight. Votes. There was one dead. Outa kicked to the right. Votes. There was another. He kicked to the left, till there was a clump of bucks lying about the veld giving their last blare. Yes, old 2 toes did his work well that day. When Luke came up and saw that Volstruus had killed more than he had, he was not very pleased, but Volstruus soon made it all right. Lu said, "You have killed most, so you rip open and begin to eat." "Oh no," said Volstruus, "you have cubs to share the food with, so you rip open and eat. I shall only drink the blood." This put Lu in a good humor. He thought Volstruus a noble, unselfish creature. But truly, as I said before, Volstruus was clever. Bashes see, he couldn't eat meat, he had no teeth. But he didn't want Lu to know. Therefore he said, "You eat, I will only drink the blood." So Lu ripped open, skrrr, skrrr, and called the cubs, and they all ate till they were satisfied. Then Volstruus came along in a careless fashion, pecking as he walked, and drank the blood. Then he and Lu lay down in the shade of some trees and went to sleep. The cubs played about, rolling and tumbling over each other. As they played they came to the place where Volstruus lay. "Aha," said one, "he sleeps with his mouth open." He peeped into Volstruus's mouth. "Aha," he said again, "I see something." Another cub came and peeped. "Ole cracked," he said, "I see something too. Let us go and tell our father." So they ran off in great excitement and woke Lu. Come quickly," they said. "Volstruus insults you by saying he is your equal. He lies sleeping under the trees with his mouth wide open, and we have peeped into it, and behold, he has no teeth. Come and see for yourself." Lu bounded off quick with the cubs at his tail. "Near he growled, waking Volstruus, "Near What is the meaning of this? You pretend you are my equal, and you haven't even got teeth." "Teeth or no teeth," said Volstruus, standing up wide awake, "I killed more bucks than you did today. Teeth or no teeth, I'll fight you to show who's boss." "Come on," said Lu. "Who's afraid? I'm just ready for you. Come on." "No, wait a little," said Volstruus. "I've got a plan. You see that ant heap over there? Well, you stand on one side of it, and I'll stand on the other side, and we'll see who can push it over first. After that we'll come out into the open and fight." "That seems an all right plan," said Lu, and he thought to himself, "I'm heavier and stronger, I can easily send the ant heap flying onto all 3 sticks, and then spring over and kill him." But wait a bit. It was not as easy as he thought. Every time he sprang at the ant heap, he clung to it as he was accustomed to cling to his prey. He had no other way of doing things. And then Volstruus would take the opportunity of kicking high into the air, sending the sand and stones into Lou's face, and making him howl and splutter with rage. Sometimes he would stand still and roar, and Volstruus would send a roar back from the other side. So they went on till the top of the ant heap was quite loosened by the kicks and blows. Lou was getting angrier and angrier, and he could hardly see, his eyes were so full of dust. He gathered himself together for a tremendous spring, but, before he could make it, Volstruus bounded into the air and kicked the whole top of the ant heap. Ah, but the dust was thick. When it cleared away, there lay Lou, groaning and coughing, with the great heap of earth and stones on top of him. "Oh hey! Oh hey!" wailed the cubs, "get up, my father. Here he comes, the toothless one. He who has teeth only on his feet. Get up and slay him." Lou shook himself free of the earth and sprang at Volstruus, but his eyes were full of sand, he could not see properly, so he missed. As he came down heavily, Volstruus shot out his strong right leg and caught Lou in the side. Skrrrr went the skin, and goops. Goops. Over fell poor Lou, with Volstruus's terrible claws, the teeth of all 2 toes, fastened into him. Volstruus danced on him, flapping and waving his beautiful black and white wings, and tearing the life out of Lou. When it was all over, he cleaned his claws in the sand and waltzed away slowly over the veldt to where his mate sat on the nest. Only the cubs were left wailing over the dead king of the forest. The usual babble of question and comment broke out at the close of the story, till at last Piety's decided young voice detached itself from the general chatter. "Outa, what made you say that about pulling the blankets over one's head and running to get near Mammy if one heard Volstruus bellowing at night? You know quite well that none of us would ever do it." Yes, my bosh, I know," said Outa, soothingly. "I never meant anyone who belongs to the land of Volstruus. But other little masters, who did not know the voice of all 3 sticks, they would run to their mamos if they heard him." "Oh, I see," said Piety, accepting the apology graciously. "I was sure you could not mean a Kuru farm boy." "Is your story a parable?" Outa asked little Jan, who had been doing some hard thinking for the last minute. "ACH. And what is that, my little master?" "A kind of fable, Outa." "Yes, that's what it is, bosh," said Outa, gladly seizing on the word he understood, a fable, a sort of nice little fable. But a parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning, and when Cousin Minnie tells us parables she always finds the meaning for us. What is the heavenly meaning of this, Outa? Little Jan's innocent grey eyes were earnestly fixed on Outa's face, as though to read from it the explanation he sought. For once the old native was nonplussed. He rubbed his red kopdoek, laid a crooked finger thoughtfully against his flat nose, scratched his sides, monkey fashion, and finally had recourse once more to the kopdoek. But all these expedients failed to inspire him with the heavenly meaning of the story he had just told. ACH. These dear little ones, to think of such strange things. There they all were, waiting for his next words. He must get out of it somehow. "Bashes," he began, smoothly, "there is a beautiful meaning to the story, but Outa hasn't got time to tell it now. Another time." "Outa," broke in Willem, reprovingly, "you know you only want to get away so that you can go to the old tram floor, where the folk are dancing tonight." "No, my bosh, truly no. And I wouldn't be surprised to hear that you had danced, too, after the way you have been jumping about here." "Yes, that was fine," said Piety, with relish. "Votes. There is one dead." Votes. There is another. Outa, you always say you are so stiff, but you can still kick well. Aya, bosh, returned Outa, modestly, in my day I was a great dancer. No one could do the Vastrap better, and the Hondikrap, and the Valsrivier. Ah, those were the times. He gave a little hop at the remembrance of those mad and merry days, and yet another and another, always towards the passage leading to the kitchen. But the meaning, Outa, the heavenly meaning, cried little January, you haven't told us. No, my little bass, not tonight. Ask the nanny, she will tell you. Here she comes. And as Cousin Minnie entered the room, the wily old native, with an agility not to be expected from his cramped and crooked limbs, skipped away, leaving her to bear the brunt of his inability to explain his own story.